Good morning, everyone, and happy opening day of the Masters to any of our golf fans out there. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar today on eliminating payroll and tax processing headaches by using ClubPay. We know you all have busy schedules, so it means a lot to us that you would take the time out of your day to join us. So we really always strive to make these sessions worth your while. So to take us through ClubPay today, we have our resident ClubPay expert here at Jonas, Colby Spooner. Colby, how are you doing today?
Good. Happy Masters Day.
Yep, happy Masters Day indeed. Yeah, really looking forward to this one. And just to introduce myself, my name is Brendan Butchermus. I'm a marketing associate here at Jonas, and I'll be the host for the webinar today. So just quickly running through the agenda for this session. First, we'll start off with some quick housekeeping notes, followed by having Colby take us through ClubPay and ending with the Q&A period at the end. So just a couple things to note. First is that all your lines are muted. So please, if you have any questions, use the questions box on your panel, and we'll try to get to all of them during the Q&A period. Also, after the session, we'll be sending out a recording of the webinar in case you want to watch it again or share it with a team member. So keep your eyes open for that follow-up email. So some of you may already know, ClubPay is one of the 13 brands under the Jonas umbrella. It falls into the category of our value-added products, along with our member survey tool, Member Insight, and our business intelligence solution, Metrics First. Additionally, we offer web and mobile solutions for clubs. That's the red area of the chart. And lastly, in blue, we have our enterprise management systems like Jonas Club Management and Jonas Encore that I'm sure you're already familiar with. These 13 brands are comprised of over 250 employees and have combined completed 5,000 installations worldwide. As a whole, we try to be the single source vendor for private clubs. We offer technology spanning the entire club operation, including accounting, fitness, food and beverage, sports, events, even sailing and marinas. So quickly, I just want to talk about some of the trends we notice at clubs from an HR and payroll perspective. First, we hear from a lot of clubs that for the staff member they have in charge of HR and payroll duties, it's more of a secondary responsibility they have on top of whatever their primary function of their position is at the club. And the reality is that a lot of the times HR and payroll is just too big of a task for it to be added onto someone's plate that is already taking care of whatever their primary responsibilities are. So often we hear these staff members say they wish they had someone on the team dedicated to HR and payroll because it's taking away from what they need to get accomplished in their primary role. And if this is happening at your club, the good news is that you actually don't need to hire a new employee, as a lot of these tasks can be actually outsourced to a third-party provider. And by doing so, there's actually a number of benefits. First is that you're freeing up your staff that previously oversaw HR and payroll to focus on their primary responsibilities, which likely will result in increased operating efficiency at the club or better service for members, depending on what they do. Secondly, since third-party payroll and HR providers are experts in their field, it's likely that they'll be able to implement better processes that could increase efficiencies in a number of areas, like job applicant tracking or benefits enrollment. Additionally, they save you the hassle of having to keep up with changing payroll legislation from state to state. So that's another headache that would be taken off your plate. So before we get going here, we would like to know from your perspective, which of the three areas above in regards to HR and payroll do you find the most burdensome or time consuming? And I'm actually going to put up a poll here quickly. And I'm going to give you guys just a moment here to respond to it. Looks like timekeeping and attendance. For mostly split between timekeeping and attendance and staff onboarding here. So I'll go and close the poll. Share the results here. Yeah, so you can see staff, it's for the majority of people, it looks like staff onboarding and timekeeping and attendance are kind of taking up the most time for most clubs there. And the good news is that in the session today, we're going to cover how ClubPay can eliminate the turbulence that comes along with managing any of these in-house. So just in case there are some on the line that are not familiar with ClubPay, it's a third-party HR and payroll solution that is specifically designed to meet the needs of private clubs. Its services are broken down into three categories. That's applicant tracking, online onboarding, as well as timekeeping and attendance. And these services are offered on an a la carte basis. And additionally, ClubPay can meet with your club to provide consulting services to determine what would suit your club based on your specific needs. And so without further ado, at this time, I'm going to hand it off to Colby, and he can take us a little deeper into ClubPay.
Great. Thank you, Brendan. So as you mentioned, we're going to be taking a look at a few of the we'll call them ancillary products that help build out. Obviously, ClubPay has a full encompassing, it's an HRIS platform that'll handle obviously all of your payroll, compliance, tax, HR issues. But we want to take a look at some of those HR type of topics that a lot of clubs seem to be having multiple people wearing multiple hats with. First one being here, we're going to take a look at applicant tracking. And so the one thing that we know that going through COVID is finding staff is not easy. Just about everybody's gone through shortages or running on a skeleton crew. And this is where applicant tracking is here to try to ease that burden a little bit and get some quality candidates through the door without too much heavy lifting on the back end for you guys. So instead of having to log into several different outlets and re-enter some of that information over and over between any of those, Indeed, LinkedIn, so to speak, you're able to create one posting that's going to be sent out to a number of those partners that you actually see a few of them there, but there's upwards of 70 actually that get linked in to applicant tracking. So the application is fully customizable. You're able to create different screening questions for specific roles, different departments, as opposed to just kind of one blanket type of application across all the applicants for the club itself for different roles and positions you might have available. But those questions will be available in multiple answering formats. So whether short, long text, multiple choice, anything like that. And we're able to also indicate any disqualifying answers or even create a scoring system set by you. So once an applicant's submitted their application, they're going to receive that automatic thank you for your email. They'll have the ability, effectively it's going to create a profile and they'll be able to come in, check status, maybe change any of their account information. So that way, they have, the best number down for you guys to contact them and get a hold of your candidates. And kind of backing up quickly, should anybody, maybe just answer a question incorrectly or, it marks itself as disqualified, that answer is still going to come through and the candidate is just not pushed out, but they're able to still go on and apply for the position. You'll see the red flag there and be able to assess the candidate that way. So basically being able to make the best decision, maybe it's something that needs digging a little bit further or very well, you're just moving on to the next person. So next slide, Brian. And kind of try to zoom in as much as we could here, but just a quick snapshot here within the profile. So as these applicants are coming through, this is where you'll be able to view all of those applicants. You're going to be able to break them down in a bunch of different ways by job, incomplete applications. You can filter through titles, departments, date ranges, things like that. So status reports and source reports are going to show you current status of an applicant, as well as the different jobs that they've selected or where they even came from. What outlets are you generating the most traffic from? Once you've found an applicant and you want to view, you can go ahead and select their name. All their information is going to pop up. All the other candidates will actually form a menu queue down on the left side. And then from there, you'll be able to, it'll pop up on the right, but there'll be a timeline with action items, or you can enter notes, and that'll just be used for internal use. So as you're processing through, you can find out who the best candidates are, as you're working through different interview steps and processes. Once selecting a candidate or candidates for that matter to fill, multiple roles or just a singular one, you can send them formal offers directly from the system. Once they're accepted within their profile, the integrations tab and form will be able to link you right over, and that's going to push the applicant straight into the onboarding system, and that's where they're going to go ahead and complete their new hire paperwork. So moving into the onboarding platform, next slide. So from here, we have, we joke and we laugh because it's a thing, and I know this because in college, I worked in the club industry, but gone are the days of wasting out a full morning or a full day of going through paperwork and filling out everything by hand and bringing in whether it's a passport or your social security, and just, it's a waste of time. So where onboarding comes in is this is going to handle all of those customized forms that you guys have both set up at the club as well as what we have from the library. Obviously, all tax forms will be included in here. These forms can be varied by department, location, anything like that. And basically, we're trying to make the simplest deployment we can and build these forms with the exact specs that you need. What's great here is that once the employee fills out their information on the very first form, anything that's applicable down the road and along the way is going to transcend down from there. So they're not going to have to enter their address or social security 17 times to get, moving along through here. Beyond that, the single entry is going to populate in all forms, and with that electronic signature enabled as well, all the employee has to do is manage this from their home. So as you send over, the offer letters and all the onboarding, they're able to go ahead and process this without ever actually having to come into work. This can be done before they show up. So some of the other key features in onboarding. So you'll be able to visualize the status of outstanding forms. So if something's not done or you're waiting on anything, it'll be in there. Automatically tracking all the changes through completion. So every step-by-step that they've completed or you've completed, you'll see where you're at in the process of things. Configuring notifications, so when things need to flow out. Employee and employer document upload capability. So if they need to insert anything, any certifications or things like that, they have the ability to. And then same thing from your end. If you have to, upload an employee contract or things like that, it's an open platform for each of you to communicate in. Finally, a good task manager as well for both the club and the employees. So again, just staying on top of all of those items that need to be done. Adding value immediately is where this kind of comes into play. Obviously, the time savings can't be talked about enough. Just not wasting out so many of those hours on a day, especially the first day. But because this is a cloud-based web solution, kind of as I mentioned before, it's an easy, cost-effective way to deploy, manage, and grow your staff pretty quickly. It's allowing the employee to fill out this information on any device, and it's going to allow them to come in, day one and hey, start right away. Within those, like I mentioned before, you can have, upload information. You could have training videos and things like that already set and ready, so that when they show up, they know what they're there to do. With that being said, this information that's captured through this process is going to actually create an employee self-service profile for your staff. So again, as they show up immediately day one, all of their information is filled out and you have a profile ready for them. So as they go through the payroll process and getting paid, they'll be able to view all of their all their information in that employee profile there. What this does is basically it's going to dramatically reduce the efforts of the HR staff or whoever's wearing that HR hat, and increase your compliance along the way. You're not going to miss any boxes there. And finally, all this data has been collected and it's going to be passed through directly into payroll, as I mentioned. So it's a complete end-to-end solution there. As we move into the next piece, so ClubTime is our time and attendance platform, but it's really so much more than that. So once you have that employee onboarded, you're going to want them to obviously get right to work, and this is where ClubTime comes in. This is the web-based timekeeping solution. So when it comes to timekeeping and tracking the employees' time and attendance, there's a few different ways this can look. First one being traditional wall clock. This is going to come, it's a biometric clock. It's going to come with a fingerprint reader, so it helps avoid the buddy punching there. Another option is you can use the online platform. So this could be set up at any one of the workstations or things like that, or basically anywhere there is a network connection for that matter, you can have that set up for clocking in. Finally, the last option there is employees could be able to clock in on their app. So with this program, it does come with a native app, and if they're able to clock in directly there, if you set it up, basically as a club, you get to set up a geofence and making sure they're not clocking in from 2 lights away when they're running late, or still sitting on the couch when they realize they got work. But with that, what's nice is, some places they have kind of the generic address that maybe pings them out to the road. With this, you actually get to draw the map. So if you have different facilities in different areas, maybe a pool area, the clubhouse, tennis court, things like that, all those different outlets and areas can be pinged individually. So again, once they're on site is when they'll actually be able to clock in. So it's important to note that because this is web-based, you can set these up anywhere there is Wi-Fi, and it's going to automatically register it in the back end and into payroll from there. So for example, thinking, kind of going back to that country club mindset, typically the staff come in that work in the clubhouse and they'll clock in on the workstations, but the people that are working in maintenance areas are usually at the club well before 5, 6 a.m. before that clubhouse ever really opens. And maybe there's not a direct network connection. They don't have a workstation out in their shed. So this is where if you have an access point or Wi-Fi out there, hotspot, anything like that, you could utilize, a wall clock or tablet and be able to have your staff clock in directly from out there. And obviously, as mentioned too, if they have the smartphone capabilities, and they can clock in right from their phone as well without ever having to, touch a computer or anything like that. So for the managers using ClubTime, you'll have a custom dashboard. And this can be based on departments, as you can see from the very colorful dashboard. When I say custom, it's very custom. So we can match any different colorways that you want. So whether it's something to match your club or just something that fits your eye, and more importantly, the content that's in there. So there's 18 different widgets and dashboards that are able to be configured on this main page. So we can set that up for quick viewing. So some of them are, the schedule, summary of hours worked, any time off requests, shift exchanges, on-premise employees, absent employees, things like that. There's plenty in there to keep you busy. So, and it is important to mention as well that, while this is available, not only for the staff on the app, but for the manager as well. So they'll have their own little view and different dashboard, so obviously a manager-employee relationship would be different as would be in the app. So we'll take a look at what that kind of looks like in the next slide here. So moving forward into that next piece, and staying on that topic of, time off and shift exchanges and requests, things like that. ClubTime comes equipped with a full scheduling platform. So it's not just a, wall clock, punch in, punch out, okay, hours go to payroll and we process from there. There's a bit more to it, and obviously to help out the club and staffing. So this is going to allow you to schedule your staff by, eligible positions, outlets. You'll be able to share their schedule with them via an app, so they'll be able to go in and, see, when they're scheduled to work, what outlets they're scheduled to work in. You can send out announcements. So if it's, a Friday night, there's a wedding, hey, don't forget the bow tie, things like that. Those can all be shared through the app as well. The scheduling platform, super easy, very modern. It's a drag and drop format. It's going to allow, for different templates or, rollover, basically kind of similar schedules every single week, just, for quick changes, things like that can all be managed from there. Once a schedule is created, it's easy to go ahead and post them. There's a quick publish button, and you'll be able to view that online, or as mentioned, directly in the app. The managers can make those changes directly in the app as well. They don't need to be on the computer itself. And then the employees, I joke because the employees don't have a reason anymore, like, oh, I didn't have the right schedule or anything like that. It's all right in the palm of their hand. So there's no reason for them to really miss any of those shifts or come in late for that matter. So you get a little bit more control from that side of things. Touching on reporting real quick, so this information is going to share directly into the ClubPay platform. And within that platform, we have, there's north of 250 reports available at your fingertips. But some of them, if it's not exactly what you want, there is a custom report building tool. Where I'm going with this is you can either use the reports we have or make custom ones. And you're going to be able to see, different information. So scheduled hours versus actual hours used, coverage by position, wage spending, actual versus budget, things like that. So you'll get a good you'll get a good look at the bigger picture of, what your labor spend really is, and be able to drill down, just for future planning and future budgeting down the road with, how busy you are now. So finally, quickly on the employee side of things, as mentioned, they would have an app. They're able to view their schedules, make PTO requests, shift exchanges, things of that nature. And anything that they do is going to require manager approval. So this is all going to be tracked. If they put in a request, or somebody goes to grab their shift, anything like that, the manager is going to have to approve that. They'll get notification, whether they set it up to get email and push notification, or one, the other, or both, any way you want that. But they'll have the final piece to approve or deny that. And again, the employee gets notification of that immediately. And of course, whatever decision was made is final. But that way, there's no confusion with, I dropped that shift, I couldn't make it. Well, if it wasn't approved, then they're still on the hook to miss shift, and you guys can handle that appropriately. So with that being said, that's kind of a quick overview.